Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, May 6th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are moving higher. We're seeing gains of 0.86% this morning. I mean, I was seeing gains of over 1% this morning, so we're off to a strong rally today. And it's really about tech and Iran. These headlines are really continuing to drive this market higher. The energy market, I mean, that's another story. They're seeing a strong move lower on the downside. But there's talk about an agreement, a one-page memorandum that could be released shortly, essentially ending the conflict in Iran. It's really about the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz has to remain, has to reopen. We need that oil to be flowing through that strait in order for oil prices to actually, achieve the, lower prices. Although we're seeing big drops this morning, but if you want to keep it that way, you got to address that issue. On the economic calendar today, you got the ADP employment report. That's the one that's in focus this morning. What type of news we got? Anthropic has committed to buying $200 billion worth of Google chips and cloud computing. You got Costco this afternoon. They're going to be releasing their April sales data today after the close. Corning's got a shareholders meeting. Corning's got an analyst meeting set for this morning. But we do have a lot of shareholders meetings. Moderna, PepsiCo, General Dynamics, Fluor, Molina Health, MGM, Wynn, Alcoa, and others. A lot of them. This is that time of year. May is always a big shareholder meetings month, and you got to pay attention to these things. Okay, let's move into earnings. We're seeing AMD, MSTR, NVO, CVS, Disney, and Uber. They're all trading higher after earnings. On the downside is ANET and Occidental Petroleum. That's okay. And then after the close today, we got a lot of good earnings coming out. We got ARM, we got AppLovin, we got DoorDash, we got Fortnite, we got Snap and Bros, BROS, all releasing after the close. And then tomorrow morning, you got McDonald's, you got WW Granger, you got Datadog, you got the Tapestry, TPR scheduled to report. So a lot of good stuff coming up. And then, we got to take a look overseas at what's going on, and we got to take a look at the DAX this morning. And the DAX is showing a really positive move higher. It's up 2.72% or 663 points with gains in autos and financials. You got the FTSE up 2.54% with, banks and mining stocks are higher, and the CAC in Paris is up 269 points or 3.35%. Financial stocks, luxury stocks are all leading that upside move. And then in Asia last night, the Nikkei, remains closed for a holiday. They opened up on Thursday, but Hong Kong was up 1.22% or 315 points with strength in tech. China also saw strength in tech, and that market was up 1.17%. Overnight. So, Asian markets had a strong day. Now we turn our attention over to oil, and oil's slipping. I mean, you got WTI at $91.87 a barrel. You got Brent at $99.55 a barrel. Both are under 100. That's key. But it's still high. But if you want to keep these low prices, that Strait of Hormuz issue has to be addressed. So we'll have to wait and see. Last night, we got the API data came out, and inventories fell by 8.1 million barrels. That's actually, these are the estimates. The official data comes out today at 10:30. So we got to wait for that. But let's take a look at some earnings action this morning, and we got to start off with AMD, Apple, Michael, David, stocks trading higher by 18%. They beat by 8 cents on higher revenue. Then you got CVS, Charlie Victor Sam. That stock's up 5.34%. They beat by 36 cents on higher revenue. And then, of course, Disney, Walt Disney, DIS, they were up 4.31%. They beat by 7 cents. They did that on higher revenue. After the bell today, you got ARM, ticker ARM. Their EPS is 58 cents. Expected move is 11.28%. AppLovin, ticker APP. Their EPS is $3.40. Expected move is 12.38%. DoorDash, DASH. Their EPS is 41 cents. Expected move is 10.14%. In terms of economic reports at 8:15 a.m., we get the ADP employment report. Then at 10:30, you get the EIA oil inventory reports. In terms of Fed speak, this morning at 9:30 a.m., we're going to hear from St. Louis Fed Bank President Alberto Mulsam, and then at 1 p.m., we're going to get notes from Chicago Fed Bank President Austin Goolsbee. So we got a lot of good Fed speak happening. In terms of Fed stock, in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, we're looking at. We really got to start off with Apple because they agreed to pay $250 million to settle a false advertising lawsuit. Because they came out in 2024 saying they had all these AI features. on their new iPhone when they didn't. So they had to pay for false advertising. Anthropic is set to spend $200 billion on Google Cloud and chips. Nice move, nice, beneficial for Google. And SpaceX, they're planning a $55 billion semiconductor factory in Texas. In terms of Dow Jones 30 news, we've got IBM is introducing a new AI consulting capabilities for enterprise clients. And little Chevron, their CEO, Mike Wirth, he warns of potential oil shortages due to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which is why it's so important to reopen that strait. In terms of guidance news, AMD sees Q2 revenue coming in $10.9 billion to $11.5 billion. Street estimates at $10.52. That's a big uptick. Uber sees Q2 adjusted EPS 78 cents to 82 cents. Street estimates 79 cents. That's an uptick. CVS Health, they raised their full year 2026 EPS view to $7.30 to $7.50. The consensus is $7.16. That's a nice uptick for CVS Health. In terms of shareholders meetings, Moderna, PepsiCo, General Dynamics, Fluor, Molina Health, MGM, Wynn Casinos, and Alcoa all having shareholders meetings scheduled for today. In terms of buyback news, Global Payments, that's ticker GPN, Grace Paul Nancy, they entered into a $500 million accelerated share repurchase agreement, GPN. All right, let's move on to the pick of the day today. And I'm going to go with Net, which is Cloudflare. The thing is, earnings aren't coming out until Thursday afternoon. And the EPS is 23 cents. And the expected move is 12.42%. Yesterday's call volume, 28,307 calls versus 15,041 puts. Very positive. Open interest, 135K to 87K on the put side. That's positive. And the major brokers still raising price targets. They like the stock. But for me, I think it's up just a little bit too high this morning. I think you're going to see a little bit of weakness today. I'm hoping to get in. I'm going to say 245.50 area. Give or take $1, but 245.50. That's kind of my entry price for Cloudflare, because I do think we're going to see some weakness off of this morning's rush. But ultimately, it will start to pop higher because earnings are coming out, so it's not going to fall too much. But I do like Cloudflare, ticker NET, Nancy Edward Tom, 245.50. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about stocks that are hitting the press. See what news we got hitting. NVIDIA warrant to buy up to 15 million Corning shares. Remember, Corning has an analyst meeting today. Disney continues to explore potential commercial opportunities with OpenAI. Fubo says Hulu Live content package is now available. Morgan Stanley debuts crypto trading, undercut rivals on price. NVO, Novo Nordisk, sees a generic Ozempic delayed in China until next year. Not good. Stock was trading higher after earnings, though. New York Times sees Q2 total subscription revenues up 10 to 12%. Airports report April traffic down 7.6% year over year. Costco releasing their sales data after the close today. PayPal faces an FDA is facing an antitrust probe over Visa and MasterCard contract ties. California's highest court to consider whether drug makers have a duty to innovate. All right, that's all I'm seeing really this morning. So, we're moving on to yesterday's pick of the day, which was Occidental Petroleum, OXY. They came in with a strong earnings beat. They did do it on lower revenue, but the stock popped after earnings. But with the weaker oil prices and that news about the Iran war closing down, it's just crushing the pick. I mean, the stock opened up yesterday at $59.63. It jumped all the way to $60 and over $60, and closed at $59.38. Earnings were positive, but that earnings catalyst just is paled compared to what's going on with the action oil, which is causing that stock just to fall apart this morning. So it was a miss. Okay, I understand why it was a miss. It wasn't a bad call, but today, we live to trade another day. So, traders, that concludes today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.